Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family, members and patrons.
Hello, members and Patreons.
Hi, guys. So we did this video, An Angry New World, there you see. Klaus is over there doing his thing, being the one of the architects of the Dark Matrix, or at least an actor pretending to be in charge of something. But we are all in charge of our own emotions and feelings, our own reactions to all the stimuli that we're constantly bombarded with. Once humans understand this key secret, the entire matrix collapses. It's true. It's true. If we could get more people to understand that, we could literally totally change paradigms, and we can really manifest heaven on earth pretty rapidly. I do believe so. We've talked about different frequencies. We've talked about the fact that a lot is being made right now of other dimensions, parallel realities, portals, right? You know, Skinwalker Ranch, they literally have a portal there. Beings come and go into different realities. Could it be as simple as just simply changing our mind on how we look at things and recognizing how we are stimulated in many ways by this world, by society, by the dark control matrix, to exhibit certain feelings, tendencies, to wallow in the muck? Why is the news always 99% negative and maybe one little helpful, heartfelt story in there? They're cultivating a frequency range. They're cultivating your emotional response to the stimuli that they want to stress.
That's kind of what I see all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Colors are frequencies. These are frequencies. You are literally creating your own reality. So recognize that everybody is looking through their own two eyes at this whole reality, which we're not always seeing exactly the same. We don't necessarily always see eye to eye, and that's okay, because again, otherwise we would all be clones. We would all be the exact same carbon copy if that's the way Source truly wanted it. Obviously, Source wanted there to be a wide range of experiences and a wide range of looking at different stimuli. The human aura, our energy field, is multidimensional. It operates in different densities, different dimensions. You are a multidimensional being. That's just a given. There's many different levels to you. There's many different layers to you. It's like peeling an onion, and you find that there's the same thing down another layer, but slightly different. This is part of our understanding our reality. This is a clue when you look at the human energy field and you see the physical body. Then there is also a template for the physical body, which is an energetic template. It is what guides the creation of the physical body. And then there's other layers too. You have your astral body, you have your mental body, emotional. It goes on and on as we eventually blend into the oneness of all things. So when I view this, in my mind, it's the fact that everything seems to be separate and different, but it's all part of one ocean of consciousness. Again, you take one little drop of water, put it into the ocean, and where did it go? It's part of something bigger, but it's still its own self and its own identity. We are all fractals of the one source. When we look to the body and we recognize we have chakras, those chakras are portals. These are interdimensional portals. That is what they are. They are literally bringing in subatomic particles into the body, into your energy field all the time. They're vortices. When you see tornadoes and when you see hurricanes on Earth, these are literally pulling things into them. It could be pulling a cow into a tornado. It'll be redistributed somewhere else at some point in time. It's a gateway. When we understand this, these are all gateways. When you look at the major chakras, the 7 major chakras that lie upon the Taiji pole, or what we call the Taiji pole, which lies between heaven and earth, there is an energetic pull that goes straight into the planet. It literally connects with the heart of the planet, the core of the planet. It also goes out the top of your head, your crown chakra, and extends out into infinity. This is tying you to both heaven and earth. You are the interaction of heaven and earth itself.
Right. So if you are wanting to learn more about the energy aspect of things, whenever you do work on anyone or your pet or anything, you definitely want to ground yourself and the other being. What that does is that gives you access to all the different types of energy bodies. We never want to forget grounding.
No, because again, we got to combine the mother with the father, and we are the children. So, yeah, there's so many different ways we could look at this. We could look at the divine trinity. We could look at, again, divine masculine, divine feminine, creating the divine child. We are all children of both heaven and earth, of both the sun and the earth below us, of the yin and the yang. This is just a reality. We're made of an admixture of all those things. And we ourselves extend even beyond the sun and even beyond, again, the earth itself. As we are eternal beings, we are consciousness itself, having a temporary human experience. Why? To learn, to grow, to enjoy things in this reality. And it is a double-ended sword because, yes, we can experience pain and heartache and suffering. That's part of what we know before we jump into this reality. When you look at the chakra system, you go from the root to the sacral, to the solar plexus, to the heart, to, again, the throat chakra, the third eye, and the crown. There are many, many other chakras in your body. In fact, there's thousands of chakras in your body. Every single joint has a chakra pulling in energy to it. Every single joint. And again, you are existing on multiple dimensions at one time. It's a matter of, again, where do you want to let your frequency lie? Where do you want to cultivate your experience as an embodied human? It is literally a choice that we have to make. We are trying to wade through this frequency warfare that's always ongoing. We were talking in the last video about the frequency of different emotions. And when you look at fear is of a lower frequency than anger, but we would take both of them as being maybe more negatively inclined emotional responses to stimuli, certainly lower frequency than love or joy. That should be a given. And yet what we have here in this system is the understanding also that, well, your sacral chakra can't function perfectly if the root is not healthy. The solar plexus, the same thing. If the sacral has an imbalance or something going on, that is going to affect it. The heart, the same thing. You know, if your solar plexus is having issues, the heart will end up having issues as well. So you could look at it from a bottom up perspective. You could look at it from a top down perspective. This is also the way of the densities and the dimensions. So why do beings on 5D, 6D, and even higher, why do they care about us? Well, it's just a given because, again, they're operating out of higher frequencies. So they're always operating out of love and compassion and joy. They always want to share. It's just where they're at. It's their emotional frequency. How about the beings that are trying to hold on to our ankles and keep us from ascending? Well, they're operating out of their emotional frequencies. At the same time, they're trying to get us to wallow in the anger that they wallow in the envy that they wallow in the jealousy that they wallow in. Again, it goes on and on. The pride, you get it. They want to hold on to us just like the beings on the higher dimensions and densities want to help us up because they've been here. They've gone through it. Each one of these chakras, dimensional portals. You can utilize them. and you can go and explore the multiverse yourself. Again, so much of what many other species take for granted has been hidden from us because of the dark control matrix, trying to give us distorted senses of reality. These subtle energy currents, they don't just simply go through the chakras. They go through the nadis. There are some big nadis, and then there are smaller nadis. Again, just as there are the 7 main chakras on the Taiji pole, we can extend that out. We could start adding in some above, start adding in some below. If we start to expand our perception, we could also look and see, the different vessels, the reservoirs of chi, of life force in the body itself, and then the nadis, which are the circulatory system. So you can also equate this to like major highways, right? Sometimes they'll call highways arteries. It's a network of getting around through things. And yet, you have these small country roads, and you even might have private little roads and streets that are, not traveled that much. As above, so below, as within, so without. What are we looking at here? Well, again, we're looking at labeling a keyboard. So you have a keyboard. You see, okay, so there's note D, and then E, and then F, and then G, A, B, C. Oh, there's D again. It repeats. Yes, but at a higher octave. This is just how reality is. In some ways, we just stepped into the Bronze Age. So if you wanted to envision this keyboard as the Bronze Age, we could say we just stepped into D here. Or maybe you want to shift it to this first A because, maybe you want to view this as being the Kali Yuga. So during the Bronze Age, then you would start here and you go boom, B, C, D, D, and you come up, and then there's an A. So this is at the end of the Bronze Age, you have a G, and then you have the Silver Age with the A note at a higher octave. This is, again, how everything works. It's been layered, so literally there are an infinite number of beings even having an experience here on Earth. Our little planet, that's just one. It's very typical in some ways among so many countless different realms. There are many different realms on Earth itself, having different experiences, different realities. Earth is playing and having the game of life on many different octaves. So really, what does this point to? It's really just a matter of choice. It's up to us. Now, our conditioning, the things that we've gone through in life, this world you've been brought up in, it's trying to pull you down, 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 down. This is why it causes nonstop trauma, traumatic events. This is why the news is 99.9% bad and very, very little good. Because, again, they're trying to hold on to you. They don't want to see you graduate from this experience and go to a higher experience that they can't go to. They can't utilize you as a resource. So recognizing, as we were talking about in the last video, what's the problem with the whole concept of original sin? Well, again, because it's made of the 2 lowest frequencies you could have in guilt and shame, and it goes back into this loop that's going to keep you from rising higher outside of the reach of the dark matrix. There were studies done, this is from ResearchGate, and asking people, what color do you associate with different emotions? And this is interesting because how often do we feel ourselves going into certain situations and you see colors dominant in certain places? Anger, it's predominantly red. Well, again, when you think of Mars, right? And you can look at things astrologically. If you have Mars in the first house, it can make some things challenging, but it could also make other things easy.
Oh, yeah, it can, but you also want to look at these emotions, not that you want to suppress them, you want to process them. And anger and fear can always be used as something beneficial too. So if you're feeling anger and you're feeling fear, remember you don't have to succumb to the lower frequency of those emotions. You can utilize that to catapult you to a better and higher state.
I think back to this company that I was associated with the first 10 years of my professional life, and their colors were red and black. It's all fear and anger. And truly, it was. They kept us in fear and anger. They pitted us against each other, always competing against each other, always very fearful of being the one that failed in the past month when you go for your meetings, managerial meetings. And well, why didn't you make more of the green for us? And again, it's all about the whip and also that candy to entice you to do things their way. It's interesting that in different cultures we can shift these colors. It really depends upon our upbringing and where we're growing up and what belief system we're being exposed to predominantly. So when you look at like religions, for instance, and cultural upbringing, it's a big thing for the soul to overcome. This is one of the most powerful things they do to us early on. When you go and you stand and you say your pledge, again, to whatever flag it is, when you're again standing and sitting and standing and sitting in some sort of religious service, blindly following all these things that have been handed down from one generation to another, not really knowing why. Well, because you're told it's good to do that, or, something bad could happen if you don't do that, never looking beyond what you're taught. Again, if a teacher is taught a falsehood and passes it on to a student, that student's going to be teaching falsehoods his entire life and not even realize that he's telling a bunch of lies and misperceptions. It really is where we are at this point in time. So when we recognize that certain colors are going to trigger certain emotions, but there's also certain things that nature has associated with different colors. And we recognize there is this scale, and the scale might repeat itself throughout infinity. When we look at the lower frequency range and look at the higher frequency range, and we talk about the visible light spectrum, and okay, so why would we clear a room doing a banishing ritual using a violet light? Because it's again the highest frequency that we could clearly envision. Violet is a very high frequency. It does drive out negative energies or negative consciousnesses. So we utilize that color. Again, there's many different things to energy work, and you might not realize it, but everybody is doing energy work all day long, whether you realize it or not.
Oh, I think that's something very important to realize.
Yeah. Any more you want to give us on that concept? Like, just think about this when you're putting expectations out there into something, you're trying to give what you view to be a positive outcome to some sort of endeavor. We may be sabotaging ourselves by little things, like literally the colors that we're wearing, or the music that we're listening to, or the programs playing in the background. These are the things that are often turned on kind of like automatic, and you don't even know. You have an autonomous nervous system which operates subconsciously, unconsciously. You don't even think about it. You don't have to think about making your heart beat. You don't have to think about necessarily taking another breath, but it's going to happen because it's part of the system. There are literally beings too that are guiding and all the functioning processes of the body that are not literally just you. Other consciousnesses that are working to create and maintain your human experience behind the scenes. This is a fact, and yet it's something that's not understood by the majority of the public.
Mm-hmm. I think, the spoken word is probably the most important thing to recognize, because that is speaking things into reality. So, I mean, just that acknowledgement that you want to watch your words is important, and watch your actions. And I think once you realize what you're capable of, you're more careful about where you place yourself. You're more careful about what people you're going to hang around. You're more careful about the things that you express because you realize that everything that you're doing is going to be some type of a reflection, or there is going to be some type of action, reaction to that thing. And I think it's about understanding the unseen realms becoming the seen realms. And once you start to get the hang of things and how those work, well, then you can really start to manifest really, really well. I mean, you come into this world, Earth, as a professional manifester. If you are here, you are here to master manifesting, because this is like the hardest place to manifest because it's so slow moving, and the consequences, reaction to consequence ratio is a very slow one usually. But what we have been noticing as we move through this new yuga is that the manifesting ability is definitely speeding up. So, and it just kind of lends credence to the consequence of your actions and your words, good or bad.
Mm-hmm. So this is showing emotions that affect your organs. The heart and the small intestine. Now, this is according to traditional Chinese medicine. Heart and small intestines, lack of vitality, mental restlessness, depression, anxiety, insomnia, despair, lack of connection. When you look to the lungs, for instance, grief, sadness, detachment. And, yes, absolutely. One of the biggest realizations for me when I had Lyme disease and went to my naturopath was her telling me that, this disease is manifesting in my lungs. I'm having a hard time breathing. And this is back when I was like 30. And, I didn't make that connection. She knew right away that the Lyme's was manifesting as an emotion that I was suppressing. And so I was having a hard time breathing. I was using an inhaler. I was using a nebulizer. And the reason really was that I was very unhappy on the higher self was unhappy with where the lower self had brought himself to be at that point in time. I was not doing work that was contributing to my purpose for this life, and I wasn't in a relationship that was contributing to my purpose in this life. So she said, "You are grieving." And it just really it surprised me because I didn't connect that at all. I didn't even think about that. So where disease manifests as what is a clue to what emotions we need to work with, and perhaps also what buried circumstances in our life have not been rectified at this point in time. On the whole, we are being asked to process and purge like never before because, again, of the turn of the yuga. We're going to something new. The wheel is turning. You're going to a new reality, a new existence. The very elements are changing. The four elements, earth, air, fire, and water, come out of the ether. The ether itself changes in each yuga. So you are completely changing. You've heard in certain circles that your body systems are being updated. There will be new organ systems coming online, new DNA strands perhaps being activated. This is all part of where we are that's putting an even larger burden on our bodies and our emotions. Now, again, we may be shooting ourselves in the foot with things as basic as, again, the music we're listening to, the colors we choose to wear, how often you're checking your email, what job you're doing, what relationship you're in. It just goes on and on and on.
Oh, it sure does.
So recognizing these little things. If you're having problems with the lungs, absolutely. Grief, sadness. There's something that is really, it's unprocessed. It's not processed yet. You have to process it. You have to go in deeper yourself. This is the thing. Nobody can do that for you. People can even say something that if you realized it, all of a sudden the disease would start to dissolve away. But if you hear somebody say that and you haven't realized it, it is not going to dissolve away. This is part of the mystery in so many ways. these miraculous, spontaneous healings that occur. It's really when the little self comes into alignment with the higher self. When you have that big aha moment that what's the disease doing in the first place? It's calling you to recognize something that you're missing.
Yeah, and once sometimes when you can recognize that, things get better, but sometimes they don't. So if they don't, it's about an energy shift that simply hasn't happened yet. There might be some other things behind that waiting to happen, and that domino effect can finally occur. But it is about, a very large energy shift that can create those miraculous healings.
And then again, when we look at the kidneys are associated with fear or feeling weak and insecure. When we look to the liver, well, it could be anger. Anger seems to be, one of those things that we could take as being associated with the liver. But just like the planets and their astrological components, it is a matter of perspective. It is a matter of perspective. Because again, anger and the liver can be associated with green, but here again, anger is being associated mostly with red. Now, in energy healing, it's viewed that it's always safe to envision a crystal white light. Why is that? Because believe it or not, white contains all the lights. It's a completeness to it, so it's safe, and the energy body will take what it needs of each color and make use of that. Now, if you are going to usually start healing somebody, start somebody on the healing path energetically, and you're doing some form of energy work, after crystalline white light, the next one would be a crystalline green, would be what is usually used. Now, if you have somebody with a lot of pain, sky blue is usually what you would want to go with first, and then go to the green and then alternate. Now, here's the thing to get into your head as the healer, if you are interested in working with energy to help people heal. It's very important to realize that as you grow the ability to focus longer and longer on one thing to the exclusion of everything else, that is making you a more powerful healer. If you are scattered and everywhere with your thoughts, then you're not going to be focused as a healer. So the big thing to cultivate here, it's not any particular technique. It's can you cultivate your own ability to focus single-mindedly, and then to increase your ability to visualize effectively. This takes practice. This is why Cindy and I, dedicate hours to that practice every day.
It's an important thing.
And it becomes a lifestyle, so that even when you're doing things like trying to go to sleep, you're using the time constructively to increase your ability to visualize. When you have a great remote viewer, for instance, what makes them a great remote viewer? It's that they know how to silence those aspects of the mind that need to be silent in order to actually listen. If we are talking constantly and we don't give the other person time to talk, we can't really hear them. They'll have to shout to get over our own incessant rambling. This is really the key to understanding. So again, this is multifaceted, and I wanted to give you guys layers of this to go deeper yourself and start to look at things. So it's not that any color is bad. It's not that any color is good, because life is balance. Life is harmony. And the same thing with sounds. Each note has its own frequency. Obviously, you got 5 whole tones. You got 7 whole tones and then 5, sharps and flats here. Each one of them can be correlated and corresponded to a different color. And this is also, again, about frequency and vibration. So, if you were going to go into an endeavor that was, you needed a calm, peaceful mind, you might not play heavy metal music. But conversely, if you were going into some sort of aggressive, intense physical exertion, you might not want to play something that's going to promote tranquility. You might want that heavy metal music in short durations, because recognize again, the body has a fight or flight response. And in the fight and flight, you're invoking cortisol, which gives you a boost, an intensity boost, but at the same time, it could wear out your entire system and not allow you to rest and digest and heal and recover. So when you look to the left here, Imagine by John Lennon, very peaceful, very reflective. It's reflective. And then, if we looked at something heavy metalish, maybe there's Marilyn Manson going, it's very, very different. It's different. So it's not that we want to label anything good and bad, but it's recognizing if you're always taking in music that's promoting a cortisol response, your body's not going to be able to heal. And so you're going to start to get worn out. And also cultivating the frequency that we want to cultivate for our own good. When we look at what words are we using day in and day out? Are you just wearing black, or are you always wearing red? Again, whatever color it is, recognize that maybe you should change things up. I think change is really, really good. But on the whole, you want to cultivate a positive frequency. And we know the higher frequencies, compassion, love, joy, and then understanding the oneness of all things. Those things will bring about peace. They'll bring about the ability to truly heal, and also bring about understanding. So all this goes hand in hand together. Again, it's said in energy work that, typically you don't want to use reds and orange. You don't want to visualize reds and orange if there is, say, cancer growing, a parasitic condition growing, and you don't want to feed. Why? Well, I should say why, because you don't want to feed that. You don't want to feed that. So again, understand that color is frequency. What you expose yourself to, as far as colors, as far as the clothes you're wearing, as far as the music and things you're listening to, the background noise that affects you more than you might imagine, all this adds up and really affects us in our healing, and especially on the ascension path.
Indeed.
So I hope you guys got something out of this. I hope it inspires some comments, and let us know where you want to go down this path. Please do share. We thank you guys for your support. You can reach us at evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com for setting up a time for a session, Vedic astrology, life coaching, energy work, biofield tuning, Reiki, pranic healing, etc. Whatever you guys want to focus on, we could focus on, including, helping you guys if you are aspiring to do energy work more yourself or on your family and loved ones. Also, do check out LifeWave. We have the LifeWave patches that we utilize. I have 3 of them on right now. They are new technology that we do believe in. I think we are in a new era. There's going to be a lot of technologies coming out that will not be invasive, but that will boost us, mind, body, spirit, and allow us to work towards being the best version of ourselves and the healthiest version.
Namaste.
Much love, Source Bless. Namaste.